Hello, everybody. Hopefully you can hear me. Thank you for joining me today. My name is Jodie Leister, as David already introduced me. So today we're going to talk about redirecting purpose. And when I was talking to our wonderful partners at Becca Wellness, we were talking about, transitioning into a new idea of work-life integration and how in this new existence we can find our meaning and purpose and find something new if we need it. A lot of people have talked about, feeling as if they are overwhelmed with everything that's going on. I know myself, I have felt that way over the last 18 months or so. So I want to kind of focus today on how integrated in all aspects of our life and our personality are we, and what really goes into that, specifically with work, how you can focus on integrating your life more within the work realm, and really what it is and how individualistic work-life integration really can be, and then give you some approaches and some tips and some things that I like to do, and then I usually guide my clients to do whenever I am helping somebody in a situation like this. So you've probably seen this wonderful graphic. We have shown it many, many times over the last 18 months. The place that I really like to just highlight where we are is right there where it says setback. Many of us have experienced quite a bit of a setback, especially when it comes to the surge that we just had, or when it comes to just finally feeling the grief of life opportunities and things that have passed over the last 18 months. And that's normal. It's normal to kind of have a little bit of a hitch in your giddy up when it comes to that. So know that you are still in a positive place of reconstruction, but part of that feeling your feels is what we have to do right now. So many people just know this idea of being stuck. And I read a wonderful article a long time ago now in the New York Times that coined this term languishing associated with it. So languishing is really when you have no real connection to the past because the present is so different. But that also means you can't forecast for the future very accurately. So you're just kind of stuck in limbo. And it's not bad, but it's not good. And it just feels a little meaningless. Most people are experiencing this. I kind of talk to clients about this in terms of that duality of our consciousness. The best example that I can give is a few weeks ago, I was reading a book to my son, one of my favorite books when we were going to bed. And I had a very real awareness that I was having a completely separate train of thought that was about work and was about something else. Not even a bad thing, but it was just a completely separate train of thought. And as I am reading this book to my kid, voices and all, I know you're like, wow, she's magic. I'm not. I just love the book. But it was just this hyper awareness in the moment. And having that hyper awareness made me really understand even more why the thing that's really going to help most of us when it comes to figuring out what our life is going to be like, how to decide what our life is going to be like, and even just existing in the current moment is this concept of flow. Many of you might have heard about it. It is a concept that has been discussed for years and years and years. Finding Flow is a book by Mahai Csikszentmihalyi. I first read this book my freshman year of college, and it was wonderful, and I thought it was great. As a team, we read it actually last year, and it was great again. I strongly recommend it. But flow is this antidote to this feeling of languishing because it is where you can lose yourself in something. And the best way that I just can describe the idea of losing yourself into something is this duality goes away. It's when both of your trains of thought are in one specific thing and they're focused on whatever it might be. Maybe it's Netflix binging. Maybe it is doing some type of yard work. Like I love raking leaves. I do. I'm not for hire. I have a huge yard. I hate it. I mean, after like 2 hours, it's horrible. But when you can find yourself lost in time and just lost in what you're doing, that is actually a really positive thing right now. It's one of the things that's maybe not conducive to work unless you really like what you do, which I hope many of you do. I do. So the question then, when we know that this is where we're at, flow helps, where do we look to find this if it's maybe not the best at work? And who's to say that it's not the best at work? So I ask you all, how do you integrate your work life? What do you use to define those parameters and those terms for yourself? Just think about it as we're talking. It's kind of weird because we're experiencing this shift, I think, from a work perspective, and that we are moving more towards, I think, trying to focus on this hybrid work environment and trying to work smarter, not harder. But there's also a very real tried and true system that we've had for a long time that it's hard not to rely on. And it is also a safe place. So when we think about, work-life integration, most people think about it in terms of this separation. So you have a separation of work, your relationships, and then your self-care. You have a separation of your work self and your home self. But I ask you, over the last 18 months, what have you started to learn about what you value? Can you appreciate that what you value may have changed over the last few months or the last year, or that it may have intensified even more? If something comes to mind right now as we're talking about this, just jot it down. Just jot down the word when I ask you that question. Just kind of free associate and keep it there, because you might be surprised how you'll find it in other parts of your life, in your day, even today, tomorrow, and days to come. But what happens when we have these really clear values evaluations, because life has thrown us experiences, we get kind of caught up in it, and we kind of can trip over ourselves because it's contrary to our normal belief system, I think, within our culture, that you can have your cake and eat it too, and that you can actually integrate your work life and your personal life. But the way of the future is actually much more integrated. I try to practice this in my day-to-day life. I try to incorporate my self-care into my work. And that's the smallest thing of like getting up from my desk or making sure that I always have a cup of water next to me. It's the smallest little things that I know that I'm bad at, but I try for myself. And then same thing with relationships. We want it all. That's really the issue. When we think about work life, we think about everything needs to be equal, and it's just not possible. It's not possible for us to make 50% of our time here, or 33% of our time here, 33% there, 33% there. It varies over time, and we have to have the ability to be flexible and to stop. And when our world around us is telling us that we need to reevaluate and we need to do a values exercise or just explore this, that we need to be able to let ourselves to do that. Most of us don't give ourselves the permission to do that. So there's really some very easy ways that I'm hoping that you'll take from today. At the bottom, you'll find of this slide, you'll see that there's a daily topic of finding something that you can achieve and something that you can enjoy. I'm going to talk a little bit more about that later, but the idea is that your day is yours. It's not a Pollyanna optimistic way of looking at things. It's a true way of looking at things. There are opportunities every day throughout your day, whether they be seconds at a time, or maybe if you're lucky enough, a whole 15 minutes, where you can find something to achieve or enjoy about your life in that moment. Whether it is, again, like a stolen piece of chocolate from my kid's little candy basket, or if it's, just sitting outside and drinking my coffee for a few minutes or taking a walk, all of those things. When we focus on, and when you look at your life rather, and you focus on the values, where do you see yourself falling with regard to this specific time? Are you in a phase where you are work-centric, where your main priority is to grow your career and to grow your stability in that realm? Are you in a family-centric place? Maybe you are recently had a family transition and you just want to focus on building together in that way, and work is really taking a back seat. Or maybe you are a person that is dually centric and very stressed, truthfully. They tend to be the most stressed individuals, because in a dual-centric household, usually there are both two people that are both earners, so they're most likely outside of the house. In work-centric families, they tend to be more traditional families or nuclear families, as we would say. But all of them have their nuances. The thing is, we want it all, like I said. Work-centric and dual-centric families tend to struggle the most when it comes to the psychological pull between developing your personal self and your professional aspirations and balancing your personal goals. So where are you? Where do you fall? And is that one of the contributing factors? You have an option to embrace and communicate where you're at in your life and help the people around you to explore that and incorporate that, or you have the option to change it. They're both options. They're not necessarily the best choices sometimes. I mean, rock in a hard place, but at the same time, they are choices. Most people that get stuck with these choices or face these choices in their lives, because we all do, they can kind of group it into this idea of like Maslow's hierarchy of needs. And if any of you remember that from, just basic psychology 101, it's the pyramid of the basic needs: food, water, shelter, then the next level of community and sense of belonging, and then the next level of personal enlightenment, and then so on and so on. So for the connection to work, most people have their basic connection, which is pay and benefits. And then they have their work family or the special relationships that you get to have with those individuals. Then there's meaning, purpose, where you feel like what you're doing is that really matters. And then hopefully it's leading you into personal growth and development. So depending on what level of engagement you have and where you are in that pyramid, that's really going to help you to know where you are, if you're work-centric or family-centric, if you're having a hard time judging that. But the beautiful thing about the last 18 months has been if you've been able to do a hybrid work environment and it's been something that's complemented your life. Now, I think it hindered everybody's to begin with, just because it was just such an abrupt change that wasn't chosen by most people. Some people still are able to work hybrid or work remotely now that they never would have been able to before. I mean, I'm definitely one of those. Counseling and psychology, for example, got a violent shove into the 21st century when it came to COVID. But there are people that are really enjoying this when it comes to the work and life balance that it gives them and integration that it gives them. So some people have been able to foster more friendships. Some people have been able to develop more routines, like more self-care routines and ways to actually ritualize connecting with other people. Whether that's, you check in every morning just by saying, hey, or, you have your weekly meeting via Zoom. But usually we've been able to integrate and offer more purpose. If you are one of those individuals that's been feeling a little bit less engaged, that's okay too. That is another opportunity for us to try to figure out how we can integrate different parts of yourself into your work and into your day-to-day. That's what that says. It doesn't say that it's a lost cause or anything like that. It just means you have to reevaluate and examine it a little bit. So are you somebody that you've noticed that you're more clinical or cynical rather at work? Do you feel like you have to drag yourself to go do things? Are you tired a lot? Do you struggle with focus? Do you feel disillusioned, or that you're not really connected to the future? Do you notice that you are needing more chocolate in the afternoon to get you through that 2:00 hump? Do you notice that you're not sleeping? All those things. These are signs that you might be feeling burned out. But look to yourself and think, how can you integrate these things? We have to pause and find little areas of enrichment in our day. Small little things that you can focus on, the idea of get tos. Okay. So if we all have the have tos, but how can we focus on the get tos that we have every day? There are some specific things that do alleviate this conflict and stress, and that's self-care, basic self-care. That's focusing on having conversations exactly like what I talked about with the idea of if you're work-centric, dual-centric, and that means with your leaders, that means with your actual partners, that means with your kids, your friends, anybody that, it makes conflict with. I'll be honest, I have loved being able to just kind of be more introverted over the last 18 months. And now that things are opening up, even though we have the surge, some a little bit, I don't really do that much, but it's supposed to be, hanging out with friends and doing those things that we were doing before. And I've moved back into I'm kind of putting my head in the sand and doing these things right now. And I am enjoying it. And I don't have as much to give in that area. And maybe that's a normal part of this phase of my life. I don't know. I have no idea. But I've definitely noticed it. I think it's a good thing, but it's something to notice. So usually less work stress helps. In an ideal world, we'd be able to control it all the time, but I don't think it's possible working for a major medical center. But we can focus on building resilient skills. So that's where we focus on, really, how do you integrate? How do you redirect what you're doing every day and redirect your purpose to be something that's useful for you? And the first thing that you have to do is set some boundaries. And that again is communicating where you are when it comes to what phase of your life you're at. So checking in with yourself. What am I feeling? What am I thinking? Figuring out how to just pause and reflect in the moment without reacting and just pivot and take a different train of thought. Being very accurate about what it is that you're actually experiencing and not forecasting and getting into these thinking errors. And then if you need to, you can try counseling. The first thing that I would suggest all of you do is to take a minute daily to find something that you can achieve and something that you enjoy. There are 3 main quadrants in your life: that work, relationships, and self-care. Ask yourself, when was the last time that you achieved and you enjoyed something at work? Anything, the smallest thing. What about achieved and enjoyed something with your family? Or just for you? What do you neglect the most? And then go do that thing. Why not take 20 minutes on the way home from work and do something just for yourself? Listen to a book on tape, jam out to your favorite song, have silence. Go home, on the way home, stop at Dairy Queen and get a little mini blizzard because you don't have kids that you have to buy one for too. I don't do that. I did that. It was great. And I enjoyed it and it was worth it. So do something for yourself because your brain believes what you tell it. If you tell yourself and reinforce negative thoughts that, this is really hard, or I'm not going to get through this, this is never ending, with COVID, it's not over just because you're over it, your brain will believe it. We tend to affirm the negative a lot. Affirmations are anything that you tell yourself over and over again and that you start to believe. You can program yourself to have affirmations that are much more helpful and useful to you. It's a big TikTok trend right now to use affirmations, but they've been around for a long time. And I'm not just talking Stuart Smalley, from SNL. But the thing about affirmations is that they're not supposed to be positive. They're supposed to be real. They're supposed to be focused on encouragement, happiness, strength, determination, but values that you have found yourself to want to live by when you do this values clarification. If you're a person like, that's just too hard for me, I'm languishing, I don't want to do that. There are a couple different apps that are really, really helpful. Think up an Insight Timer app. I like the Insight Timer app, and so does Helka, my coworker. She uses that for some of the meditations. We kind of share that. But here are some affirmations that you can try today also. Some of these, use them because they're true. Whatever feels true to you, whatever is something that's accurate, use it. Try it for 30 days. 30 days in the mirror once. You have to say it out loud and you need to say it in a mirror. You just do. Focus on your self-care. Assess what your needs are, schedule it, prioritize it, set those boundaries. And it's little bits often. It really is, the 20 minutes on the way home from work or the 5 minutes that you take, to just walk your dog by yourself. So we talked about self-care. If self-talk starts negative comments, we need to say loudly to ourselves in our mind, stop. Backspace, undo, erase that. If something is going to be erased, it has to be replaced with a positive statement. So instead of saying, I can't handle this, stop. Erase that. Replace it with, I'm getting better and so is the situation, or I'm getting better and I'm learning something. Remember that negative words like can't and won't and don't, they can be used, but they're not helpful to you. They block you. Try to focus on something that's more accurate and positive if you want to be positive, but be accurate. Whether it's your self-talk or in a conversation with someone else, stay away from the but. In counseling, we call them yeah butters. We have people that every time we talk with them, they say but. Well, and it's okay. I'm a yeah butter, especially when I'm like really frustrated. Everybody can be, but that means that you're in a place where you're not ready to hear a solution, and that's all right. You can erase the but in your conversations. Instead of saying, you make a great point, but you make a great point and I still have a difficult time accepting it. It was tough at work today, but it was tough at work today, and I was able to get some headway on that project. The same thing goes for the way that we say things when it comes to the power of yet. Many of you have probably heard this too. Keep it accurate. Yet fosters a growth mindset. It's the cornerstone of resilience, and it gives us hope for the future. So it's something as simple as saying, I'm not good at meal prepping yet. I'm not good at this procedure yet. I'm not efficient at this yet. It gives you hope for the future, and it doesn't discount the positive as well. That's where the pause and pivot comes in. How can I love friends? So that's where that slide comes from. But when you're pausing and you're pivoting and you're trying to practice all of these skills, something has shown you that things are not integrated well. You're feeling burned out. You want to do a values exercise. And in that moment, you need to just stop and identify what you're feeling. What is the thought? Remind yourself and redirect yourself to go do a meditation or whatever it is you need to do. And you might have to do it multiple times and see what happens. Call somebody. Ways that you can help integrate yourself a little bit more when it comes to your day-to-day life. Familiarize yourself with the policies here at OSU when it comes to work. Again, communicate. Learn how to master some technology that's going to make things a little bit easier for you. I'm trying to learn how to use Outlook a little bit better to help manage my tasks list and all things like that. It's kind of fun too. Fight the guilt. We all have guilt. But lead by example and try to engage in things that are going to promote your health and healthy things for you, whether that's with Right Before H and doing this like you are, or it's, doing the cards that are on Virgin Pulse, or just joining a walking group, whatever it might be. Find some ways that you can integrate some of those into your day-to-day. You can do it. Give yourself permission. That's the last thing I'll say when it comes to this. We are so in need of just giving each other permission to be human. You're allowed to express your emotions, but you can't inflict them on someone else. We can let go of the way things have gone and how people have wronged us and just choose to look forward. Try to put yourself first. Self-care is not selfish. It's okay to be egocentric. Just because you're egocentric doesn't mean that you're selfish. I had that conversation with someone today. Try to practice gratitude, but gratitude, again, is not this toxic positivity and the idea of saying like, oh, well, at least it could be worse. Yes, we are all aware that it could be worse. It could be very, very worse. And we are thankful that it's not. But in order for us to really be grateful, we need to accept how much the current moment is uncomfortable. And be aware. Don't rob yourself of your experience just because you are aware of the fact that it could be worse. Okay. So in review, hopefully you have a little bit more compassion for yourself and the people around you and that are also languishing, and you're feeling a little bit more aware of how you have integrated your work and life, or maybe areas that you can improve. You know that you should focus on something that you can achieve and enjoy on a daily basis, and also try to notice your self-talks and practice an affirmation. Cut out the buts, add some ands. You haven't tried it yet, but how can I help you all? Is there any questions that you have? Is there anything in the Q&A? if you want to utilize EAP services, please feel free to reach out to us at the 800 number, or you can reach out to us online or within the email box at eap@osumc.edu. We are still seeing people virtually, so feel free to reach out. Let's see. David, are you there?
I am. If anyone has any questions for us, please let us know. One person asked if you would go back to the affirmations page. We
Yes.
don't have any questions at the moment.
That's totally fine.
All right, we'll keep this open for just another minute. If you have any questions for Jodie, please feel free to use the Q&A function and let us know. If not, you are free to head off. You'll be receiving an email here in the next, we do have a question. Do you have any practical tips on keeping boundaries?
So truthfully, keeping boundaries are only as good as the reinforcement behind them. So if you haven't communicated what the boundary is to someone, then I would say that's your first step. But the challenge when it comes to this is you just have to actually stick to it. If it's, for example, that you're not going to answer your phone after a specific time of day, you do it, don't answer it. And if there's an extenuating circumstance, preface that when you do engage. And that's a small example, but just walk the walk when you say that it's important, like make your actions match it. People will naturally press your boundaries. It's just human nature.
That's the only question we've got. So as I was saying, the slides and this recording will be available. Hopefully we'll have that up by this Friday. And you will also receive an email with the post-evaluation survey link. And so we had a question, can you repeat the apps?
Oh yeah, so Insight Timer app is one of them, and Think Up are them. And then it looks like there was another question about how much time would you expect the languishing feeling to go after such a time? Truthfully, I don't really know. It's so individualized. It depends on how well you are able to find something that can kind of create that flow for you and create that respite so you can recharge your battery. The best way that I've heard of explaining this is about we all have 3 battery packs, and on any given day, you just deplete the first one and you have a good night's sleep and you recharge it. But with COVID, we're dipping into our reserves of our reserves, and it's very hard to recharge it. Flow is one of those things that does it. So it's a process, just like any other stress management strategy. It's not like a one size and it's just going to go away. I think we're all kind of changed by this experience forever. That doesn't have to be bad. Hopefully that was helpful. You're welcome.
We are going to go ahead and end it for today. Like I said, you'll be receiving the post-evaluation survey here in about 10-15 minutes. If you could complete that, we do have another question. 1 second. If you complete that for us for your plan for health points, that would be great. And so we will end with this question: how to engage with management that feels our work-life balance should be the same as theirs. How do you engage with management who feel like your work-life balance should be the same as theirs?
Oh, that's a really hard one. I mean, I would say that it hopefully you're having regular meetings with your leadership to be able to talk with them, and you've gotten to the point of knowing each other personally and where you are and having that hard conversation. It's challenging, I think, because we do attracts like, we do always look for people that are going to have the same work ethic. And I think even as a leader, we look for that. But everybody brings value to the team. And there is just as much value in the person that is steadfast and true with doing just their job and not going above and beyond all of the time and overworking. So, I mean, again, most of it is communication, and some of it, if it's that misaligned when it comes to where they need someone to be in where you are, then that is a much more serious issue. And it's something I would say, like, reach out to us, reach out to your support network, see where you're at, because that's a stressor that needs to be dealt with. Definitely. That's hard. It's really hard.
All right. So,
everyone, thank you very much.
Yes,
please feel
thanks
free to
everyone.
reach back out. You can reach out to us in the email box. And if there's anything, and by all means, like I said, we're talking to people all the time, and we'll have lots more of these. So thanks so much.
Yeah, thank you very much, Jodie, for joining us. Next week, we'll talk about how money matters with Christina Glassfeld, an employee banking specialist at Huntington Bank. So we're looking forward to it. Thanks again for joining, everyone, and we will see you soon.